Okay, I am trying this again for the third time. Hopefully this will work. If not, I may just have to record a video and send it out later. I have no idea what's going on with Facebook, but that is kind of the story of life with technology. So it seems like it is recording fine for me, but it is not letting people watch it live, and I'm not sure why that is happening. Okay, it looks like people are actually being let in this time. If you are here live, please let me know. This is the third time I've tried to do this. But it looks like people are actually it's actually letting you all come in because I can see when people join the live. So I'm just going to go ahead, assuming that people are seeing me, and we will dive in. So welcome again to day one of Etsy Myth Week. I am so sorry about the tech problems, but it's kind of life with tech. So we did Etsy Myth Week back in the winter of this year, and I had so much fun with these conversations that I wanted to spend some more time doing this again, debunking these myths. So if you are new around here, Etsy Myth Week is where we talk about all kinds of myths and misconceptions and rumors and squashing these things that are not true about successfully selling on Etsy. Today, we are diving into renewing listings for a bump in search, the Etsy quality score, and outdated advice that I see about what makes your listings get found and how that actually works. Before we get started and dive in, I do want to remind you to sign up for my training on Friday, 3 key strategies that you must master for Etsy success, happening September 10th, Friday, live at noon Eastern, with a replay emailed afterwards for people who are not in the same time zone as me. That training is not happening in the Facebook group. It is happening on Zoom because I have a whole slideshow and I don't trust Facebook to work properly for me to share my screen and let me go through the whole presentation and everything. And Zoom does have a limited number of seats that you can have in the presentation situation. So make sure you register, show up, hang out with me. And I hope that that's going to be a really good class. I love doing those live classes where there's just a lot of energy. The doors also do open for Scale Your Sales on Friday. And I will be sharing some more details of that on Friday at the training class at the end of it, as well as some special bonuses and stuff. So, okay, for Etsy Myth Week Day 1, we are going to talk about what really gets your Etsy listing found in the search. I want to first start off by saying that so many of the things that we're talking about this week and in all of these myths are things that we hear around the internet all the time. And they're things that people state as hard truths about selling on Etsy. But I just want to make the point, which hopefully we all know this at this point, but just because something is said and then repeated by multiple people does not actually mean that it's true. Like I said, I hope we all know that now in the age of massive internet misinformation, but some of the myths that we are covering this week are so crazy off base for what actually works on Etsy that I don't even really know how they gained traction as rumors that should be repeated. It is so important for you as a business owner to know who you're taking advice from and what kind of experience or expertise they have in offering that advice before just blindly listening to something that somebody throws out there, even if they say it with a lot of authority. 2 of the things that I hear frequently when it comes to getting found in the search and gaining traffic to your listings are, number 1, you need a certain number of listings in order to get found, and that something magical or different happens when you get to this certain number of listings. And number 2, that renewing your listings frequently, even when they have not sold, is something that will bump your listing up in the search results. So let's tackle number 1 first. Usually when you hear people talk about the number of listings that you need to be successful on Etsy. It's a high number of listings, something like 50 listings or 100 listings. Most of the time I hear 100 is the more common number. And then all of a sudden things change for your shop and a light bulb goes off. It's like a switch is flipped and you start having consistent sales at a much higher level if you could just only get to that certain listing number. But here's the thing about this myth. It appears to be true, or at least have like a smidgen of truth to it, because it's a really good example of correlation versus causation. There's absolutely nothing magical or special about having 100 listings or 50 listings or any certain number of listings. There's not a set point of creating new listings where all of a sudden Etsy starts showing your listings and promoting yours or bumping you up in the search or whatever. The sales start rolling in when they had not previously been doing that. But the reason that it might appear that this method helps your sales and your success with selling on Etsy is because of other factors that go into you being able to create 100 listings to begin with. These are things like the time that you've been selling on the platform. Usually it takes you a while to create enough products to have 100 listings. So by the time you get to the point that you have 100 listings for sale, you've been selling on Etsy for a little while. This is also a product of you sticking with it. The people who make it to 100 listings have obviously stuck with selling on Etsy for long enough that they've gotten to the point that they have 100 listings. They haven't opened up shop and then gotten frustrated within like a month or a week or whatever and closed it back down again. So there's that time piece to it that's really important. Another part of the correlation is the learning that you're doing along the way to get to 100 listings. Because getting 100 listings listed in your shop probably is not going to happen overnight, most people start to do at least some bit of research before or by the time they get to that point. That's probably how you came into this Facebook group, or you found my podcast or my website or whatever. You've started selling on Etsy, you're not seeing the results that you want, or you're not getting the sales that you want. And so then you start to look into, how can I improve my sales? What do I need to do to make this happen? So you're learning and you're growing and you're increasing your knowledge about the platform and how it works along the way as you're creating new listings. And so while this learning doesn't really actually have anything to do with the number of listings that you have listed, it does help your newer listings to have better visibility, and it helps your traffic to grow as you learn and you implement the things that you have now learned about SEO and driving viewers into your shop. So it's going to appear like adding more listings is helping your traffic, but really it's kind of this circular thing where the newer listings that you're adding have better SEO, which helps you get more traffic, which then encourages you to keep going. I saw a comment from someone the other day in this Facebook group that said, she put it really clearly. She said that she saw an increase in traffic when she added more listings, but by the time she was able to add so many new listings, she'd also learned about SEO enough to know how to optimize them better. So again, it was this circular thing. It wasn't really that this magical number of listings helped her to increase her traffic and sales, but rather by the time that she added these listings, she knew how to optimize them to bring in that traffic and those sales. If you have 5 listings that have no traffic to them, it's not going to help you to have 50 listings or 500 listings that have no traffic to them. In fact, it's just going to hurt you because you're going to pay more in listing fees to Etsy. So let go of the idea that there is a magical number of listings that you need to get to in order to be successful, and focus on having high quality listings that actually bring in traffic. So now for number 2 of these rumors that I hear, renewing your listings is going to be helpful in getting bumped up in the search. Talk about paying more in listing fees. This is a great way to spend a lot of money in 20-cent listing fees to accomplish absolutely nothing. I actually heard this rumor recently from a student of mine who had previously taken a course from someone who was teaching on Etsy, who recommended this as advice on how to get found in the search. And it turns out that that person did not have very many sales on Etsy and hadn't updated the program in a long time. It blew my mind because this is like the oldest advice in the book. It comes from Back in the day, Etsy search was based on recency versus relevancy. Basically, the most recently added listings would be the ones that ranked highest in the search. So if you renewed your listing, it would bump it up to the top because it was the most recently added listing. But when I say back in the day, I mean way back in the day. Like, it had already changed to a more sophisticated search by the time I got started selling on Etsy in 2012. So this is ridiculously outdated advice and should be totally thrown in the garbage can. Now, Etsy does tell us that there is a slight boost for new listings as they figure out your quality score, which we're going to talk about in a second. So what really makes that difference? If the number of listings is not the golden key and the recency of the listing is basically irrelevant, that is where the idea of the quality score comes in. Now, before anyone asks this question, because I know that people will, because they always do when we talk about quality score, Etsy does not publish your quality score. So it's not something that you can look up and see how well your shop is doing or how well each listing is doing. It's this kind of ambiguous, behind the scenes, secret score that we don't have access to the quantifiable number of what your quality score is. But they tell us that the quality score is made up of a lot of different factors, but basically it is how the Etsy computer brain knows if buyers are interested in your listings and your products and whether or not you have something that people are likely to buy. So remember, Etsy is a publicly traded company. They are not in this to help us out. They want to show buyers listings that buyers are more likely to purchase so that Etsy can make money on transaction fees and credit card processing fees and all of that, plain and simple. So the quality score is comprised of how targeted your SEO is, which helps you to get found in the search to begin with, and then how buyers are coming in and interacting with your listings. If you have a ton of traffic and nobody buys anything, that hurts your quality score because it shows Etsy that even if they bump you up to the very top of the search and you get a ton of traffic, nobody's actually going to buy anything from you, which defeats their purpose of selling products and collecting on that money. Additionally, things like favorites can help your listings, but only to the point that they are coming in naturally for your listing. So things like favorite for favorite trains are detrimental for the same reason that I just said. Fake traffic doesn't really convert into sales. So if you have a ton of favorites, but absolutely nobody ever buys your products, that's showing Etsy that ultimately people are not going to decide to purchase from you. We get a shop quality score, and then each listing gets a quality score, and together those are very important to your continued search placement on the platform. Having high quality listings that bring in clicks through the search, favorites, and then ultimately obviously sales is going to help that ball to get rolling and then to continue to stay in motion. And that's a big part of why when I work with students in my program, a lot of times what you see is not linear growth. Your growth of your Etsy shop doesn't grow like completely regularly. It's sort of this exponential growth in your shop. Once your quality score improves, sales starts happening consistently, and then Etsy catches on to the fact that people want your stuff. They continue to boost you up, and it gets increasingly easier to get seen, continue to gain traffic, and convert at a healthy rate. But to circle back around to the listings that we talked about, or to the things that we talked about at the beginning, randomly renewing listings that haven't sold and adding a ton of listings that are not getting any traffic or any interest from buyers just for the sake of checking off a box and saying you have 100 listings or 500 or 1,000 or whatever, is not going to show Etsy that buyers are interested in your product. It all boils down to ultimately having highly targeted listings that are niched down enough that they can attract your customer and that that person ends up buying and converting into an actual customer. I hope that this has been helpful and that you can finally put that rumor to rest. Stop stressing about creating more listings just for the heck of it, just to check off that ambiguous number and wasting your money renewing things that are not selling over and over and over again with no real gain. If you want to hear more step-by-step, straight-to-the-point strategy, make sure you do register for that masterclass on Friday. 3 key strategies you must master for Etsy success. You can do that at laurenkeplinger.com/masterclass. Does anyone have any questions? Gail says that the feed keeps stalling. I'm sorry, I'm not really sure what's going on with Facebook. I'm not, I don't know what the deal was with why it wouldn't show it. I also, just for the record, if anyone had trouble hearing me or anyone doesn't like video or whatever, I have recorded this as a podcast, which should automatically go live right around now. So if you're a podcast kind of person and you would rather listen to this, or if you weren't able to hear me clearly, or the internet was screwing up, or whatever Facebook was doing, which I'm not sure what it was doing, you can always download it as a podcast as well. Mary, I'm sorry that it didn't come up in the event page. It's because I had to restart the video 3 times because nobody was able to join the first few times that I did it. So I'm sorry for all the issues. I don't know what happened. I do Facebook Lives all the time. I just did one in my student group this morning and I did not have any problems. So I don't know if this was an internet problem or a Facebook problem, or I'm not really sure where the breakdown was. So again, if you would prefer to listen for podcasts, you can download that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everything. I did record it earlier, so I know that the audio was a little bit better. If nobody has any other questions, I'm going to sign off. I will be back tomorrow. We are going to be talking about the star seller situation. I know that this is a hot button issue. So I will be sharing my thoughts and my feelings about Star Seller. And if you have not registered for the masterclass on Friday, make sure you do that. I will do my very best to make sure that tech works properly. Zoom is a little bit more reliable than Facebook, which is why I'm doing it on Zoom. So, all right, I don't see any other questions. Michelle says, very informative. Thank you. Catherine says, can't wait to sign up for Scale Your Sales. I can't wait to have you. So I will see you guys back here tomorrow to talk about Star Seller, and that should be a good one. Bring your questions, and I will see you at noon. Bye.